Alright you guys, so all I have to say was pretty bumpy on the way in, but luckily of course there were no snakes on the plane. That's always a good sign. Have a little bit of a headache, but it's just I need to get some food in my system here. So a nice little acai bowl, and gonna go ahead and go on a property tour of a apartment that acquired several years ago.
Security, so
I did not expect it to be this high back in my hometown, but I do have a question for you is, would you rather go in debt for a pair of these Yeezys that you see here, or to buy a property like you see just behind me? So go ahead and comment below with that, and going to go into today's video on how I was able to go into just over $8 million of debt, and then also answer the question is, what is the difference between good debt and bad debt? So stay tuned. Firstly, let's go into the definition of the difference between good debt and bad debt. So this is from Investorpedia, and I made some minor tweaks here and there. So it's not exactly from them, but it is from them. It's just I put a little spin on it. So it says that here, good debt has the potential to increase your net worth or income. And then you've got bad debt, which involves borrowing money to purchase rapidly depreciating assets, or only for the purpose of consumption and consuming. So I'm curious is, what did you comment below with that, the answer to that question of, would you go into debt for a pair of Yeezys or some shoes such as the ones that I just showed you, big fan of Yeezys, or to actually buy a asset? And if you haven't already read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, it goes into this principle, because there's different ways of thinking and how to use leverage, because most see debt as bad debt, but there's actually a difference between the two. As a prime example is this property. This is Remington on Rockville that you see behind me. There you go, back there. Go ahead and show you a little bit more. So that is, this is a 156 unit apartment complex where the debt, it's good debt, and it's paid down by the tenants of the property, versus going out and buying a TV or a pair of Yeezys or Jordans, whatever the case is, that is a depreciating asset, to where you're actually not able to get value out of it and a benefit. And this is where the utmost wealthy and the rich are able to build that, is because they use leverage how it's supposed to be in a way that actually benefits them. So two separately different mindsets. All right, going to give you a quick tour here. So this is the on-site office that was renovated. And then you'll see back here is formerly there was a pool, but decided to do without that because it just didn't make the most sense to make the upgrades to it. And then we've got a playground there that it's a little is outdated, so that will end up being upgraded at some point. Then we've got the here. So the roofs have all been replaced. There's a total of 12 buildings, of a total of 16 buildings, of which 12 are pitch roofs and then 4 are flat roofs. And then you got the parking lot that's doing a seal coating and then a restriping that's really going to make things pop. So upgrades that I just alluded to is on the interior side is going to do the two-tone paint scheme, resurfacing the cabinetry, and then doing vinyl plank flooring. And so all of these different changes increase the value of the asset, which enables you to get a higher return on your investment. And you've got to, of course, execute on that business plan, because we're also pushing up the rents as well. But back to my point is, my personal story when it came to not properly understanding debt is that I looked at it from a consumer side, because that's exactly how I was brought up. So that's how I used it. And I went into credit card debt, thousands of dollars, not like quite a bit, just a few thousands of dollars in my early 20s, because I used it to buy things such as what you see here. shoes, clothes, all those things that I felt that I had to impress people with. I went into debt to do that, and trying to keep up with the latest trends and all that. But so just studying the wealthy and the successful and replicating what they do. All right, so we're getting ready to tour a property just up here. It's an owner I've been in touch with. It's about 3 years now. Just up here. This is in a very desirable location in Indianapolis, just the near north side of town. All right, here we go. It's quite the rehab on this project, as you can see. I believe I can actually hear them upstairs. Yep, they're all the way upstairs. Is that a bee's nest? No, that is not. Let's go ahead and flip this up. Got our contractor here that's helping with determining the scope of work, what all needs to be done. Awesome. So it's great to have the right people on the team. We got Steve here. We did a tour of the property. What were your overall thoughts on that?
I think this property has got a lot of potential. I mean, there's so much, you know, you can do a bunch of different things with this property. You can change the upstairs into like a 1 unit if you wanted to. You can keep it the 2 units that it is. The basement has opportunity to potentially put like some sandwich shop downstairs, and you still have another unit. There's a lot of potential with this property, and just to be able to do this and get it, you know, and have the ability to do it would just be awesome. You know?
Yeah, he was talking the seller up, saying all these. I was like, no, because the seller's been back and forth on shot, sell the property, shot, not sell the property, which it's good still to have that transparency, but they've already been flip-flopping. He's like, you know what, I'm just going to keep the price. That didn't happen.
Prime location here in Morton. And what else you want for Indianapolis?
There you go. My man, Steve. Appreciate it, Steve. All right, so let's take a look at the Airbnb here. Decided to stay downtown because it's centralized and I've got some business meetings. So this is my first time actually being back in Indianapolis after being in Houston for 5 months, and that my first time revisiting here where I was born and raised. So it was a different feeling that I don't know exactly how to describe. It wasn't a really good feeling. It wasn't a bad feeling. It was very neutral, but it was like nostalgic. Like, oh, okay, well, this is cool to come back here, but it's interesting to the fact that I no longer live here. I actually live somewhere else. Very different, because I haven't had that before in my life. I've always been in Indianapolis, and of course I've traveled to different places, but I've always lived here. So a different feeling. And go ahead and comment below on if you've experienced something similar to this. We'd love to hear your thoughts on visiting back your first time to a place you've been born and raised in after you've moved to a whole entirely different state, or maybe even part of the country. And there is Kinley. And this is now officially vlogging here. Yes. And then
you got games on your phone?
No, there's no games on here. That is Kinley there. And then that's how you keep switching around like that. And then you talk. Switch around like this when I want to do the vlog style, the 101 to you guys there, and then back to that.
You got games on your phone?
Okay. So just going back to that deal from earlier, the purchase price was $6.2 million, and it was found by going off market direct to the owner, because especially in today's environment is buying anything on market, there's highest and best, final calls to offers. It's just very competitive going that route. So myself has just built out a whole process system to go direct to the owner and off market. And if you need help with that, there's a link below for you to sign up for a strategy session. So of that $6.2 million is from a lender in the form of debt. 70% of that was debt. And that is good debt, because it is actually not even paid down by my partner and I. It's actually paid down by our residents and tenants. And after we pay the debt, there's still profit afterwards, cash flow. So those are the benefits when you use debt correctly. It's an asset to you and puts money in your pocket. All right, so now officially back in H-Town. Luckily, no snakes on the plane, always a good sign. Comment below if you have ever had snakes on your plane. I would imagine not, because it was just a cheesy movie. But in case you're wondering, okay, Sterling, how did you go close to $10 million into debt? So my third apartment deal, and this is where I started to use leverage, so putting debt on the property, is the purchase price of that, and I've got my notes down here, was $3.35 million to purchase that apartment complex, which have now sold, and that was Buck Ridge at Southport. And of that $3.35 million, 2.5 was in the form of a loan, and the remaining was the down payment, and of course raised money for improvements. The next deal after that, purchase price was $2.25 million, and that was the 80 unit apartment complex. The loan on that was $1.5 million, and then the most recent deal, which was 156 units, the purchase price on that was $6.2 million, of which $5.7 million was in the form of a loan, and I signed on as onto that loan, both my partner and I, for those specific apartment deals. So yeah, that's how I was able to go close to $10 million worth of debt. So love hearing from you guys. Comment below with literally anything. It helps so much for the YouTube algorithm. And until then, keep being awesome. And if you haven't already, go ahead and schedule a strategy session with myself, where we would hop on the phone call to determine where you're at and where you want to be and how to bridge the gap. Till then, keep being awesome. Thank you.